Where were we starting, Bruce?
With the agenda was just introduction of new committee members.
Okay.
However, we don't have any. They're not here. So.
Well, I kind of am.
You kind of are.
Yes, Bruce, you are. Sorry, I apologize.
I'm usually overlooked. It's okay.
You know why? Because I think you were at the last meeting. You were at the last one or two meetings. So I think
I think that's right. Although I wasn't actually in theory a board member. Yes.
Yeah, you weren't official. So
yeah.
So welcome. Right. Now you're official.
Thank you.
And Rich, I just want to know: are you stationary or are you en route somewhere?
No, I'm stationary, but I'm coincidentally packing up for a trip as I sitting on the meeting. So I'm here.
Okay, good. All right, so welcome. And okay, Bruce, because I'm not looking at the agenda, so we've got our welcome. What's
all right? Just so you know, I'm not looking away from the screen. I have two computers here. I have our network computer here, so I have everything on one screen. So first thing was introduction to committee members. All right. Next one was old business. We have the trail wayfinder signage.
Yep.
Just to give you guys a heads up. Where is it here? Of course, I'll lose it now. I just had it open. All right, give you a second here. I've got a I have a little where is it here? We've been working with SLR to come up with a layout for some signs down in Unionville as a start. All right, to get those going. Let me try this now. Here we go. Where'd it go? Oh, that's why. Why can't I share the screen? Where is it? All right, so I have that. Of course, it's going to give me a problem now.
Have you got samples of the wayfinder signs?
Yeah, and I just had it open, but why is it not working now? Why is it not coming up on here? Advanced files. Advanced. Give me a second. I tested everything. I had it working before I started, and now all of a sudden, it doesn't like me. All right, so we go there. Here, this. Close this off. Let me refresh it. Maybe that's all it is. Ah, here it is. Yep, I just had a refresh.
Really, I need a wireless plan for my business, but all of my employees need something different.
Oh, we can help with that. Okay, imagine this. You're a mover.
We're getting ads now, huh?
All right. So this was a thing that they had put together. It's just to give you a heads up. This is an initial draft. We've got to put this in front of both the Architectural Design Review Committee as well as the Unionville Historical District, because it is in both of those areas. So we kind of want to have a joint meeting with them. We'll probably put something together in October, so we can get them both at the table at the same time. It'll be much easier. So what they did is they kind of came up with some ideas. This is a little bit beyond what we had initially scoped, but it's kind of grows. They had talked about putting a sign here in the Pocket Park, in the new Pocket Park where the old liquor store was at the corner of Britton Avenue and 177.
Yeah.
And then if you look on this next screen over here, this was kind of an idea of putting some signage here with some arrows, getting rid of some of the sign clutter that's elsewhere.
So that's Depot Place. That one was Depot Place. This is where coming off.
That's the Depot Place intersection.
If you turned right at Depot Place and you didn't cross right at the blinking lights, you'd see the first sign on the town green down there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah.
So I have a quick question though about that placement. If you're going to only do one side of 177, that sign cluster should be as close as possible to the actual crossing.
Yeah, this is just
both sides of traffic will see it.
I agree. And this is just follow the presentation's a little weird, but we'll follow through.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I was probably getting ahead of myself. Yeah. Sorry.
Nope. No problem. No problem. So we have, all right, here we go. There we go. Oh, it locked up on me. So they were looking at different options. Here's some ideas that they had put together, just of various signs all over. The hierarchy of the sign layouts. But let me just skip over to the big stuff here. So this is kind of was an idea of theirs. This is almost a resemblance of what the street lights are out there now. You know, we've got those street lights, the decorative street lights. So the pole and the base are pretty much matching. All right. So coming up with some kind of a pendants like this, okay, you know, directing you to different sections of the town as well as the trail. So, and these are different bases that we can use throughout the trail system. So it doesn't have to be this same system. This would be like the Unionville system, and we can use these elsewhere throughout the trail. So again, putting together some symbols here. A smart scanner app talked about doing something like that, where you can walk up with your phone, scan it, and it'll take you to this map, like our Explore Farmington app. And Rose is working with them to maybe do a "you are here" dot, so it'll be able to then figure out from there where you are and where these other businesses are. So I think we had talked about keeping it simple, no names, just kind of types. So it'll be like, you know, coffee shops, first aid, you know, restaurants, you know, whatever. We can come up with that list. They talked about doing a kiosk, but I'm not sure if that's something that we want to do down in there, because especially at that intersection, we don't have a lot of room, and we already have kiosks at most of the parking lots and trailheads anyways. So this may go that may go south. See, they had talked about
the Farmington Valley Trails Council talked about, for years, have talked about putting one in Plainville, and we've never found a spot.
Yeah.
That made a ton of sense. You know, traditionally we put them in parking lots, which, you know, does make sense because you have a captive audience that can actually look at stuff. But the other thing with that, of course, is, you know, if you're going to do that at some place, you may as well use the existing design throughout the trail system, which is that kind of railroad trestle look that we do with the locust posts and whatever. They've gotten expensive. They're about 10 grand now, but yeah, I know, it's crazy. Yeah. Well, it's the lumber cost. It's just ridiculous.
Exactly. That's going through. And it's the craftsmanship too. There's a lot of work in those things, you know?
Yeah. So Hardigan makes those for us. And
did he go out of business? I thought I heard, or he closed or moved somewhere. Cause
I think he closed the shop.
Okay.
So it's likely we'll have to find somebody else to fabricate them, which is a shame. He was doing the benches too.
Yeah.
Although we have to.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, sorry. So and then the other problem with the kiosks that we've been having is just keeping them updated. There's so many of them, making sure current maps are in there. If the map is faded, you got to replace it. So those have been a problem that we've heard sometimes as well. So they were talking about putting a kiosk here on the other side of 177, but I told them, I said, I don't think that's going to fit in there. You're not going to have a lot of room to put something like that in there. So we had talked about doing what you were talking about, Bruce, is having that same sign over here with pendants pointing you to different sections. And then this is the other stuff they were looking at. These were ideas they were using for that park down there. Just trying to kind of get everything opened up. But
I can see the Unionville Historic loving those two signs you just put up there.
Yeah, I wanted to go through them a little fast. I really didn't want you to. Those were ideas that they had. I don't see them liking those either. I mean, if anything, this was the least of all the other evils. I laughed at some of these. I said, this is like a Portland or a West Hartford kind of a look, you know? I don't see that in Unionville. But so so that's kind of where we stand with it. So I think just to go back to kind of focus a little more on those for you.
So, a couple of things come immediately to mind. When I talked to Rose, there was this idea of actually talking about individual businesses. And that's a slippery slope because, of course, restaurants go out of business. They, they, ad infinitum, right? So I kind of like this idea of, coffee shops. But one of the things that I talked about was bathrooms, facilities.
Yes.
Access to walk-in clinics, to medical.
Yes. We talked about doing maybe like a first aid symbol.
Exactly. Yeah.
That takes you to CVS, where if all you need is a Band-Aid, or if it was worse, you can go to the walk-in right down that same plaza.
Yeah.
So those are the things we've been trying to come up with,
Yeah, I just think the things that are valuable to people are those things. If there was a bike shop anywhere nearby, which there isn't, you'd put that in. But we don't have that luxury right now in Unionville. Yep. But that'll be about it. I mean, certainly the town hall. I think for instance, do you say town hall or do you say police?
Well, that's the other thing. I don't know if we were going to even say town hall. They were just going away with this, and we've got to come up. We've got to really sit down with them and come up with the list. I mean, the town hall is pretty far away from there, so it will probably be police, because I had the idea of originally putting a sign like this at the intersection of New Britain Avenue, doing something simple saying police, down like New Britain, pointing down New Britain Avenue, and then pointing forward to the shops and all that stuff. So we may just kind of be a combination of both or what. So we're going to see. We don't want to go too far with this because it all depends on the architectural review committee as well as the Unionville Historic. So once we get this all bounces off of them, if they're on board with us, then I think we can really get on this and run a lot faster. Until then, I think we're going to wait and see what their initial thoughts are, and then we'll just take it from there.
I will say this: I think they'll like the post. I'm sorry, Neil.
Yeah, go ahead.
The posts echo the other posts. I think they will like that.
Exactly. And that's where we said we can take this maybe do the same post with a different base or whatever, but because we had talked about putting them down at the intersection of Red Oak.
Yeah,
so we can do that one.
Yep.
And probably a Brickyard, maybe do something at Brickyard as well. And then once and I know I've talked about the midpoint development before, but once that section of trail gets lowered between Route 4 and the river, we'll have a system there where you can go to restaurants and the ball fields. So it's kind of expands, it's and that was the whole point of this, is making it easy to install and easy to expand. And that was the thing. We don't want something that we're tied to that we can't change in the future. So sorry, Neil.
No, it's okay. This looks like it's part of a broader plan though, right? The bike trail is a piece of this, but this looks like signage for the entire Unionville area, right? So
well, yeah, this expanded into that because once we started talking about the bikes, and then we said, all right, let's, this is going to be for the bike trail itself. Mm-hmm. Then actually they brought it up to us, the SLR, we're out there looking at it, and he's looking at that. He goes, wouldn't it be nice if we did some trees and put a sign there? And I went, all right, it's not part of the construction plan or the funding at this point. But mm-hmm. if it is something that they do get on, then we have a plan there, and then all we need is the funding or the grants to make it happen. So yeah, it kind of snowballed.
I'll tell you this,
everything else does.
As a test case, we do this right the first time around, then we go to somebody like DECD and we get a big grant, do the whole town.
Yeah,
that'd be great. I think
exactly. That's what we were thinking as well.
The smart map feature, though, I think is great because what you don't put on those posts, as you're saying, businesses change, but Rose can update the map on the smart map very easily. So you say, oh, you see the sign, it says there are shops, there's coffee, whatever it might be, medical. You can then click the smart map and it will tell you exactly what that means right there. So you kind of have a good combination of the two.
And we were bouncing around with that too. Some of us, not me, but some people were saying that they didn't want to do the smart map because they thought the smart map is that little the QCR code may be going, in the future it may be less and less, and that people just have their phones automatic. They're going to go to Google and they'll zoom in, and Google pretty much does the same thing. But this was a way to ensure that we make sure that the businesses are on there, and because Google, you don't know, sometimes the businesses are on those maps. So this way we can make sure even the small people who are in with Farmington Explorer are on this and can be seen.
Yeah, what we want. And I would not think that smart map, I'm assuming you're just putting a sticker on there. So that's not something that you can't change over. If those codes change to whatever the next technology is, just take them off and switch them out.
We talked about doing a plaque that you would bolt on there or screw on there, and then that could easily be removed and replaced as needed. So this is, again, it's a start. We're going in the direction. If anyone, I know we had a couple comments here, but if anybody has anything they think of afterwards, please feel free to give me a call or drop me an email, and we'll go from there. We could add, and we could easily add to it. So.
Okay, good on signage.
All right. Second here. All right, you still there? Everyone's still there?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. What else we have? The other one was the water fountain installation.
Right.
We're working on that. Russ was working with the supplier on that. They're coming out with these new contactless ones. So believe it or not, they actually told them that they weren't sure. Let's give them a little bit of time and see how they work. And they were afraid of us to buy the first one and have it be a problem. So it'll probably be like a spring installation. So I saw the thing on Facebook where Avon had posted theirs. Did everybody see that one?
I did.
Yeah, where is that one? I couldn't tell from the picture.
Where did they say? I forgot what they said on that. If it was the highway, was it the highway or something, or the police department in that area or something? It was saying?
I would guess near the police department because they just did so much work over there, and they probably could have even gotten Whole Foods or the developer in there to pay for it.
Yeah. So in fact, that's Carpianato Group is doing that whole Avon Center thing with the food. So it is there. Went over and saw it the other day. There's going to be another piece of trail that goes through that whole thing. So finally, you don't have to go in back of the police department and wind your way through the town facilities to get to the trail again. So it's actually going to go up and over around a little man-made pond they're going to build and go back right over to the top of Sperry Park. So that's what's going on. And then over on the other side of Route 10, we have a fountain that still isn't in yet that has to go back in. It had to be repaired. It was left out too long a couple of years ago and had some frost damage. So it's repaired. It just needs to go in.
All right.
Yep. But and again, it'd be worth asking them, because these touchless ones, the touchless technology is around. It's a photovoltaic plaque that if you get near it, it'll turn on. The question is, is how near do you have to get? Does the thing turn on all the time? There's a lot of questions with those.
Wouldn't one of the questions be how soon do the bears learn how to use them?
Exactly. Yeah, the deer will be there all day. It does make you wonder. I've seen pictures of them. I haven't seen one in real life.
Huh.
Well, I wouldn't worry. We can't get people to hit the button across the street. So
there's that.
Good point.
There is that. Yes.
Hey, Bruce, this is Rich. I had a question. That section you're talking about where it looks really nice by the Whole Foods. I was by there earlier in the week. But when you get into the area where you're talking about the future trail, there's no signage or anything directing you where to go.
Where is this?
Yeah,
Bruce Donald. Sorry, I'm thinking he's talking to me.
yeah, I know. It's you're exactly right. They haven't put the signs in yet. Yep.
All right. I don't know. I would do that sooner for people that are not familiar with it, because you could find yourself running head on into a car or something there.
No, I actually just walked it with them last week and pointed out places where they needed to have signage. So hopefully that'll get done pretty soon. The other thing I did was, it's not a Farmington thing, but I met with the town of Avon and mapped out all of Avon. They're gonna change out and put in all new fencing along the trail in Avon.
Nice.
And I know we did that with Farmington in years past, but it's worth asking if we've got any bad fence in Farmington too.
We did a lot of sectioning. We did a lot of replacement over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think we don't have a lot left. And I know that they saved a lot of some of the older stuff that wasn't that bad, and they actually have it stockpiled at the highway. So if we do get a damaged section, we can easily repair it. So.
Yeah. Just remember that you shouldn't be using the split rail. If you've got round rail, that's fine.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Went to the round rail.
Because
when we first started, it was all split rail. All the whole everybody north was all the split rail, and then we've slowly been changing over.
Yeah,
to the
the state changed the spec a while ago, mostly because the last thing you want to do is crash into split rail. It's quite ugly.
Yeah, so
it's not good.
All right, so if we're set with the fountain, next was the complete streets. So Catherine's making a bunch of changes to the zoning regs, so we're going to try to squeeze this in at that time, because it's been a pretty hectic schedule this year with the TBZ application. So she's got a lot of things she needs to take care of this year. So I'm going to talk to her about getting that in there. So, all right.
Do you want any kind of a review of what those changes would be?
I have a draft. You want me to send you a draft?
I'd love to see it.
Good.
I've been on Hartford's committee for 10 years, and so I've been around the block when it comes to looking at these things.
All right, and I think I sent it out to the committee probably about a few months ago. So all right, I'll send it out over to you.
Good.
Complete streets, and you can take a look at it for me.
And I may have nothing to say about it, but it's worth. No. I should at least take a look at it.
No, and you're on. You know what? And I think that's the value of having you here. You know what I mean? You can really help us out in a lot of these things. So
that's one of the many values of having you here.
Many values. Yes.
Oh, it's nice to be loved. That's good. That's good.
Connectivity to the trail. Oh, sorry. No, the Plainville bike study. I don't know if anybody has any update on that. Last I heard, it was design. Going ahead with design.
Yeah, so I can give you. I've been on that committee for a decade. Actually, let me start that not even in Plainville, because Southington Phase 3, which is the last piece of Southington, will go to bid this fall. It is at 100% design. They are awaiting the last permits for the bridge over the Quinnipiac. And when that's in hand, which could be in hand now, I haven't talked to them in the last couple of weeks, that'll go to bid. They've got all the money for that. And that'll start construction first thing in the spring in April. So that's good news. A year behind that is Plainville 1. Plainville 1 goes from Town Line Road on about 600 feet of elevated boardwalk to get kind of on the side of a swampy wash area. And then we'll run all the way to Norton Park on the original towpath of the canal. So they're going to take down all those trees and build it right on top of the towpath. It's going to be quite stunning when they get it done. A little less than a mile that. It's 0.92 or something like that. That's, by the way, to my last knowledge, which was about a month ago when I talked to DOT, that's at 80% design. So that's very close to getting done. They plan that to go to bid sometime mid-year next year for construction, maybe in the fall next year, but certainly in the spring of 23. And then the next two projects every year thereafter. So they're at 40% design on phase 3, which is Northwest Drive south to essentially to Town Hall. It's kind of kitty corner and back of the Town Hall. And that, again, should be in the next year. They've got issues in the center portion because, of course, we were never able to buy the railroad right-of-way. So it's going to be one of the few spots. Actually, most of Plainville is really the only spot where we don't have the railroad right-of-way. So it's going to be about 95, 96% off-road, but we're going to do some sort of an on-road buffered facility on Broad Street with connectors on either side. And that design remains to be seen. I've seen some mock-ups. They all suck. I don't like any of them. So we'll see what they come up with. But and I've advised them. By the way, you know, DOT internally is designing all of this, and I think I'm being polite, but I think they're kind of going to school on all of these federal funds that got puked at this project because you know, there's some very good designers out there that could, you know, pop that out in no time. But so they've been 2 years designing phase 1 of Plainville, just going through oodles of money. So anyway, that's the background.
Right.
And I live this. So if you want the real details, that's like a 4-beer conversation.
All right. Connectivity to the trail. Anybody have anything on that? Any ideas for connections, ways off on? Just to give everyone a heads up, I think I know I've talked about it numerous times, but the midpoint development is going to the Wetlands Commission. It's going to be October. Oh no, sorry, it's the September 26th. It's end of September. So that'll be going in front of them. So again, if that actually gets through, that'll have that great connection to getting everyone off the trail in between the river, Farmington Big Bird Bridge and the river. It'll get you down to grade, and from there get on to the sidewalk system and roadway network. So that's going to be a pretty big project.
It looked like you were going to talk, CJ, but very quickly. So what immediately came to mind, if you're going to go down to grade there, that's a great impetus to get the whole trail system hooked up down Farmington Avenue to the high school, and from the high school safely into Unionville. And so if I was to focus on anything at all with that project starting to go, I would say let's try to do that.
Yeah, that's all going to be part of the construction of the apartments and the redevelopment in that whole area.
Yeah.
So I think, like I said, we still have some sections of sidewalk that aren't built between Big Bird and Town Hall.
Yep.
But I think once this gets done, it's the impetus. Everyone sees it, and it gets pushed further and further. So I think that'll be gret.
And
because actually, this will get you off the trail, and you'll be able to get, once this is done, you'll be able to get from there all the way down to the temple and follow that whole system and stuff. So it'll be a great connection.
Yeah, the other side of Farmington Avenue actually isn't bad. There's still some pieces to do, but you know, getting up to the high school and from the high school over in a safe manner still isn't really. It's just not there.
It's tough, and that's hopefully some of these dollars we've gotten from the federal money, and the next. You know, it's a matter of looking through what their allowable uses are and how stringent they will be going forward. But I still, I really want to be pushing for sidewalks from end to end to town on Farmington Avenue. And that's, you know, not even talking about the trails, just when you see the kids walking through the snow underneath the Big Bird Bridge in traffic, that's an accident waiting to happen. So
Yes.
I'd really like to see that happen with some of those money. So we'll see. Bruce, where in the design would the bringing the trail to grade, would that be at the front end of everything they do?
I think it would be, because I think their plan is to use some of that material as fill on site. It'll all be tested to verify that it is clean fill, but that will be part of the initial getting that thing
Great.
Constructed. And then we have plans. We're going to work with them that once they're done, we'll have a little sidewalk, or a little, not sidewalk, but we'll have a trail from the low point of the trail where it comes down to grade. From there, we're going to build a little path over to the ball fields. So that'll be a great connection for that. And then their stuff, unfortunately, their on-site stuff would come as construction goes. So that could be a year to 18 months, probably, but at least you're down to grade. You're on Farmington Avenue. You can go from there. So
yeah. Great.
Do you know if there's any further? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The other going out to West Hartford, is that on the horizon at all, or on the, I don't know, year 10 plan?
What section is that? You were broken up.
Well, I bring it up every time. I'm talking about connecting Farmington to like West District, Irving Robbins School, and West Hartford.
Oh, you're talking about the little spur from the jug handle?
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to take some work. I've been bouncing it around. Everyone's a little cautious about that. So that's going to be a little work on that to get something like that happen. I think they keep pointing. I
know it's a state highway. Is there anything I can do?
Yep.
Like, I've reached out to a couple people, but if there's more people, I could keep pounding on their door. I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, you could definitely try. I mean, the problem is you're in that non-access area, and they don't really like going in those areas and opening up fences so people can get out there. So they keep pointing to the big plan that we have, which entails putting a crosswalks at that intersection of the jug handle and the connector. So that way people can safely get across, access to the other side onto the sidewalk system and go from there. That's kind of what they keep pointing the finger at.
Who's that? The town or the state?
Everybody. They're looking at that because that was in that traffic study that was done by CROG last year, I think it was. So that's what CROG had come up with. The state was on board with it, so that's kind of where they're going from. So the next thing on line with that is to get the funding mechanism to make that happen. So,
do we know if that is anywhere on DOT's construction list?
No, because as far as I know, there's no funding for it yet. It's just a master plan. So it's just like the signs. You get the plan done. Next thing you know, they get the funding for the design. We do the design, and then we get the construction monies. So that's how the DOT progresses on things like this. So, and again, at some point, yes, you need to involve. You may need to involve your state reps and stuff to push them to make these things happen a little faster. So.
Okay, so it looks like it's really not quite ready for prime time in terms of, because I can certainly bend some arms backward, if I have to, but it sounds like it's not quite there yet.
No. Have you seen the plan, or because I could probably
I saw a version of it. I think I saw CROG's version of it.
Okay.
A while ago.
All right, I'll send you what we have, and maybe that's hopefully they match. All right.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything on the connectivity or any other business?
Other business items, I guess. One, any updates on, and I know we talked about this briefly, usage of the porta potties? Have they seemed to be?
No, I haven't heard anything. They're being pulled, and forgive me, it's on my calendar. I think I have them pulled October 15th, I think, is what we came up with. Let me see here.
Yeah, Columbus Day time is traditional.
Exactly. Yeah. And I know that I was talking to Russ, and I'm not sure what he got, but he said he noticed, yeah, it's the 15th. He said that he noticed that, I guess that, or heard that the trail usage has gone down from last year, but I think that's to be expected, with the, when we were in full down lockdown mode compared to now. So,
it hasn't gone down much though.
No?
No, it hasn't. I saw the splits. I haven't seen the last 2 months, but I saw through the middle of the year, it was only down like 3%.
Oh, that's it? Wow.
So, and don't forget, it was up 23 last year.
Yeah.
So we've retained a lot of those people, which is I think really good news.
Good.
Because I wasn't sure of how many of those new adopters we would actually retain. And across the state, it seems like we are. In the inner cities, not so much, but that's a different kettle of fish because that's much more commutation than it is just people walking around or biking. So and that didn't have the same huge bump up. It was almost flat through COVID, and it's still almost flat. So no surprise.
But yeah, so I don't know if anybody heard anything, if they have any ideas where they want to move, if we don't need any, but it seems like it's working out. So
October 12th seems a little bit early to me, because I think, the trail usage, I would think, stays up through foliage season, which would be closer to November 1st. Is there, should we consider keeping them there for another couple of weeks, or?
I could talk to Russ and see. I know that when we were looking at it in the early spring, we were like, how long do we need these? And we kind of thought that, the peak is usually the middle of October, and then it seems to tail off. So because we started at the mid-month, anyways, we ended it in mid-month to give it a full month. But I'll see about that.
Ask what Russ says. The prevailing wisdom is, sometime around when we get a hard frost, people start to go out and use it less. Yeah. But
I agree. I just think that keeps happening later and later these days.
That's true. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what we can do on that. All right.
Bruce, one other thing I wanted to ask you about, the path from the trail by the boathouse. Remember you were talking to Andrus, had some thoughts on doing that. I don't know if you've been there lately, but if you can see this is what it looks like right now.
Is that a rut from bike, or is that a rut from the water?
That's from the water. That was after those really heavy rains, and it was bringing all the gravel and everything right down. So to Andrus's point, if you had a sloping, winding trail down, hopefully you don't get something like that. But it looks pretty bad right now.
Yeah, I have been so crazy at work with all these reviews and projects we've been doing. But let me see if I can get a chance to make it out there and look at it. And if so, in the meantime, I could add that to highways list and maybe just kind of go to there and grade it out and clean it up a little bit.
I think they're busy trying to put the trail back where the Pugwabics stole a bunch of it over at.
God, that was bad. That was really bad. It's getting worse too.
I saw the pictures. That's not good.
No, I was actually walking along that because we had gotten a puppy. I had walked her out to the little beachhead where the Pugwabic comes in and meets the Farmington, and went out one day and realized there was nothing next to the trail. It just went straight down, and I saw the cracks in the trail, and I said, we're not coming out of here again because that's all going to be gone soon. And then on the other side was the corn. So you had the corn growing here, you had the trail, and then you had the river, and that was it.
Yeah. So
anyway,
so we're trying to figure out what the best way to go about that is. That's going to probably be dumping some boulders in there, to try to reinforce that bend in the river.
Yeah, so, I would think a series of big boulders, and you fill it with riprap, and you should be okay. I mean, of course, everyone says 50-year flood level or whatever, but that seems like it's happening every year now. So, I don't really know what to tell you about that.
Yeah, that was great. That was that 5 inches in an hour rain that day. And that was all of a sudden, that was flowing through there like crazy. And it was just grabbing everything it could.
Yeah, we have a rain gauge at work, and we maintain it. And that Thursday storm we had was 3.5 inches in an hour and a half. So that's almost approaching, that kind of intensity is approaching a 200-year storm. And then after that, when we got the 7 inches over, was it like 8 hours, 10 hours? If you the 100-year storm is 7.5 inches over 24 hours. So we were over 100-year storm. So we had 2 back-to-back plus 100-year storms. Wow. So kind of
last time
scary.
You had that was the flood of 55.
I said the same thing.
Yeah.
I told everyone the same thing. I says last time, I mean, the Thursday it was the intensity, it wasn't the total volume. But if you take those, if those 2 storms were identical in terms of volume, you could have had some bigger problems, So
yeah.
So I think this is the first time I've been at a meeting since they did the Oak Ridge area. The town did a great job on those aprons that I was, fighting for years.
Yeah.
Now I hope they just train the snowplow drivers not to dig them up again this winter.
Yeah, hopefully. I had to keep beating on them because I had to beat with the new super. I said, "Come on, you guys!" I said, "You cannot give me a lip." I says, "If you give me a lip," I says, I am gonna be hung." I said, "So."
Yeah. So I appreciate that. They look nice.
Good.
Yeah, nice job.
Anybody have anything else or anyone to look at I can address for the next meeting or anything?
The only thing I would say, I'm sorry, go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, just 2 quick things. One, just an FYI. I have these multimodal meetups in Hartford that I go to like once a month that Tony Chirolas from Bicycle puts together. And there's a really interesting one tomorrow. It's at the Place to Be in Hartford, breakfast thing. And what makes it interesting is there's a guy, Charles Marrone, who has just put a book out, or is putting a book out. It's called Confessions of a Recovering Engineer. And
I
it's
just
about,
saw that this afternoon. Yep.
Yeah, it's about like designs of cities and what was done wrong, 30, 40 years ago. So just an FYI, it's at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's downtown Hartford. If anyone's interested, they could I don't know, shoot me a message or something, email. And then one other thing, just self-promotion. I'm doing a Great Cycle Challenge, 4th year doing it. I have to achieve my goal, which is to ride 1,000 miles in September and raise funds while doing it and awareness of childhood cancers and research on childhood cancers. So something that I've adopted this, again, 4th year, kind of just did it on whim the 1st year because I do ride so much, but it's really a great event. It's like a national event that goes on, and I think they've raised like up to $6 million so far this September. So I'm just going to shoot it out to that group email. If anyone's interested, I appreciate it, the support. But more important, it's an awareness of how good some of us have it. That's the way I take it. Okay.
Thanks.
Great.
Thanks, Rich.
Yeah, and another very quick FYI, which is that DEEP did get the $3 million in rec trail funding for Connecticut recreational trails. The RFP is out until November 1. If the town would like a grant, please send in for that. And just know that I would chat it up because I am the chairman of the Connecticut Greenways Council, which vets all of those grants for DEEP. So I am more than happy to chat up anything for Farmington. I may not be able to vote on it. It depends. It depends how close to home it is. But I will certainly expedite that process for the town because it means that much to me. So if you've got something you think would fit within the bike ped sphere, download that RFP off of DEEP's website.
2 things with the signage would probably fall under that, right?
It would.
And then I don't know about the repair of that other trail. You think that would fall under that?
The repair would, although we tend to give more money for new construction than for repairs.
Okay.
But it'd be worth putting it in.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what the pent up demand is for this. There was something like $9 million in unpaid grants, unfulfilled grants from the last round, which was 2 years ago. So I don't know what we'll get.
All right. Anybody has any ideas, shoot us an email in the group. All right. We'll take a look at it.
Great.
Anything else?
Excellent. Well, thank you guys.
All right.
For coming. All right. Hopefully we get some sunny days ahead. We can get back outside.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.